Hello, welcome. It's time for another Business Analysis Live. My name is Susan Moore. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at the International Institute of Business Analysis. Hey, do you like giving feedback? More importantly, do you like getting feedback? Well, sometimes not so much, right? Sometimes it can feel really uncomfortable or just downright demoralizing when you are getting and receiving feedback. But in the work that we do as business analysis professionals, it's actually kind of important that we build this skill set of both giving and receiving feedback. Earlier this year, I had an opportunity to hear a talk from somebody who I think makes it a pretty fun experience to get and receive feedback. And here he is now, Pawel Sidorowicz. All right. Hey, there you are.
Yes, finally. Yeah.
Finally. Well, hey, listen, I really enjoyed that talk that you did on giving and receiving feedback, and that's going to be what we talk about today. But before we do that, I'm actually going to ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself, um, and why giving and receiving feedback is a thing you like talking about.
All right. So my main hat that I wear is business analyst, and I've been doing that for the last 15 years in different branches, different companies, in banking, in car audio, in manufacturing, in law enforcement, in life sciences, pharma, name it, a lot of different occasions to be a PA. But I also been a PM. I have a degree in project management. I've been a tester, product owner, a lot of roles that I took in IT along the years. And I'm also a certified business manager. I've been a chapter lead, BA lead, and a BA manager. So basically, that's my professional career. And apart from that, I have a wife and two children and a very crazy German Shepherd. So a lot of things to do outside work, let's say. And why I like talking about feedback? It's a complicated question because it's not easy to do. It's not that straightforward. It's even more difficult to receive feedback than to give it, actually. And because it's a complex matter and it requires a lot of self-awareness, a lot of people have troubles giving and receiving feedback. And I just thinking to myself every time I talk about anything related to business analysis or work as such, is that I always wanted to have a senior guy in the team that would help me to do those things. And I'm trying to be a senior member of or BA community that I needed when I was junior. And that's my goal, actually.
So I've heard this saying, "Be the leader you needed as a junior employee." So good for you for helping others with something that has been crucial to your career. So because this is hard. What do you think? Why do you think giving and receiving feedback is a critical skill for the work that we do?
Basically, because how we talk with other people and how we share our thoughts and how we receive them builds relationship. And in our job, being a BA or any related role, product owner, product manager, building relationships is a pinnacle of our work, basically. Without that, even if we are technically brilliant, even if our diagrams or methods are always spot on, if we can't build relationships, if we don't get along with people fine, then all of that work might not mean much.
I really, you could not have said it better there, because I maybe people don't think about giving and receiving feedback as being a big part of building a relationship. But, you and I were talking about feedback that you get from your family, right? And that's so important for us from the time that we are kids to the time that we're adults. I don't know about you, my parents still give me feedback.
They do, even if we don't want it, right?
Especially if we don't want it. but that may be right. But that important give and take that parents and kids have, or that family members have, it's really important to helping shape us, because I assume that our parents are giving us feedback because they want us to be good people.
Yeah, I think that's an overarching goal. And if you set up the mind, if you set the mindset that everyone that is sharing feedback with you wants only good for you, then
Hmm.
it's easier. Then it's easier to grasp it, to talk about it. And our parents usually, or most of the times, mean well. Yeah, my father, even when he was joking last time when he visited our new house, and he was like, "Oh, that's a curious doorstep." And I was having a box there, so the door don't slam across the wall, because I haven't bought any yet. But he wanted to make a joke, but instantly, I thought, yeah, I should buy it. Probably I should. Yeah.
Well, and I know we were talking about how my mother-in-law always gives my husband feedback that his hair is too long, right? And he says, "Oh, mom, leave me alone." Um, and but she means it well. I mean, she just wants him to look nice. But
Yeah,
sometimes that feedback can have a real meaning.
yeah. Sometimes you think that the feedback doesn't stick with you. It doesn't have any sense because you don't see yourself with others, with eyes of other people. What we tend to do is to judge everyone by the effect of what they do and what they say. But we judge ourselves from our intentions. So
Hmm.
we always justify what we do because I wanted to do something good for someone, and the reception might be not good at all because they judge us by the effects of our doings. So basically we do the same with the feedback we receive from our parents, and so on. And sometimes when I think about that, you need to think whether you would respond so badly to feedback if it was at your workplace. Would you be so offended or sad about the feedback, or you would try to respond in professional manner because the frame that you have around you is different? With your parents, it's so much easier to say, "Yeah, that's stupid. I don't care." But at work, you can't say that.
Right. Well, I guess you could say that, but you might not work there for very long.
Yeah. Back in my days when I was studying, there was one philosopher that said that we can do everything, but the consequences we must bear. It's, it's the case.
Well, so thinking about that giving feedback, if we think about what makes that so difficult, maybe let's talk about um, what we can be thinking about as we are giving feedback. So you mentioned that we have an intention generally that we want to give feedback because we want to help. But are there other things that we could be thinking about as we are giving feedback so that it's received as best as possible?
Yep. Also, there are other reasons we want to improve the work that is being done, or we want to improve our working conditions, or we want to get along better with people because there is something that actually annoys us, or uh, is confusing, or we don't like such behavior, and so on. But I think what is important is to concentrate on and focus on facts. So what actually happened that made us give that feedback, not not to put say it's awful that you did that, because it already turns someone into a defense mode. So first you do facts. You didn't come to our meeting, and that's a fact. You can't discuss about it. You can't say that didn't happen, because it happened. But if you would say you didn't came to our meeting, you are a bad person. That turns someone into already being defensive. So first you focus about facts. Then you say about your emotions, because that how you felt also cannot be disputed, because it's your emotion. What you need to be careful about here is not to say that you were let's say you hated that or something. It's more of your internal emotional. I was sad. It didn't come to the meeting. Uh, and then you say what were the consequences. Because of that, we haven't finalized the requirements. The work will be delayed. My documents will be delayed. So there is a direct consequence. Sorry. And the last thing is important is what is the expectation. So the expectation is that the next time you can't come, please let me know, because it's important for my schedule. It's important for my duties. It's important for things that I need to get done. So basically, emotions, your emotions, facts, consequences, and your expectations.
Yeah. I think that is a good way to package that information. I think sometimes what might get in our way is how we feel before we give that feedback. So if I am angry or annoyed or disappointed, what I hear you say is you can you you can be those things, but let that you can't let that interfere with the information that you need to give. Do you have any tips for how I can deal with my own feelings before I give feedback?
Especially before you get. So you are now talking about the receiving end. So it's very difficult. I cannot lie. And I will say that you need to have that mindset that somebody wants something good for you, wants you to improve at your work, wants not to annoy you, not to annoy people, wants to improve collaboration within the team. And despite the fact that they mean well, they might do it in a mean way. And your emotions might be like, "Ooh, what that guy is talking about, I'm going to explode or erupt at the moment." But it's good to get past that, your emotions, be self-aware how you feel when you receive feedback, even before you get it. You feel, usually when I get feedback, I get defensive.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should do it differently. Because when this is our natural instinct, when somebody tells something bad about us, we already think how to defend ourselves and get out of this mess, basically. So instead of that, use techniques that you know very well from being a BA. Actively listen to a person, ask questions, paraphrase. So what you are so angry about, right? Or why does it make you angry? Or why does it influence the team? What I don't see that. What have I done wrong? And because of those open questions, somebody also will change their mindset, because sometimes they come, it's not like they prepared that feedback or that they spent enough time preparing the message they want to pass. They just accumulated the anger, frustration, and they burst in with feedback. Yeah? They didn't want to, they don't like to do that, but they did, because that's how people are. We are driven by our emotions.
And and that can be a good thing, and it can also be a not good thing,
Yeah.
especially when you are trying to talk to somebody. You use that phrase self-aware, to be self-aware and to use self-awareness. And I think it is important to be self-aware when receiving, but also when giving. And so if you know that you really are angry or frustrated or disappointed and you need to give this feedback, you might need to first recognize that you feel those feelings and know that if you don't address them, they will come out in the feedback. So if you need to take a minute, and that minute could be a day, whatever it is, right? You need to you as the person giving that feedback need to take a little bit of time to address your feelings, so that you can focus on facts and the consequences and the expectations, like you
Yeah,
said.
and I will use the Christmas analogy again,
Okay.
because if you want feedback to be well done, you need to wrap it up, prepare it, nurture it, and then when you are ready, you put it under Christmas tree, and in these terms, you go to a person and share your feedback. Otherwise, if you don't do that, if you don't prepare, even if you think I'm calm now. I'm really calm now. I can go. And then on the surface, everything seems okay, and you feel that that you are dealing with your emotions, but it's still fresh. It's still unprepared. The message you haven't thought about just said, "I'm going. I need to tell that guy. I need to tell this person that I need to share that feedback now." And then the reaction to your feedback might not be as good as you thought, and that fear or anger or any emotion that you have underneath the surface might come out, and then this is not longer a conversation. This is no longer a gift. This is a dispute, and it can, as you know, in your private life as well, it can go anyway, basically.
Yeah. By the way, nice tie-in with the holidays. Also, I want to talk about your Christmas sweater, which I am appreciating because it has both Christmas trees and a skull and crossbones, which
What you don't see, there is also a bad wolf in there. So, yeah.
it's fantastic. I would not call that an ugly Christmas sweater. I would call that genius, by the way.
Thank you. It's supposed to be it, but Anyways, it's like with feedback, it has very good sides and very bad sides. It can be
That's
very good. It can be very bad. It depends
that's
how you do it and how you receive it.
that's right. People might think that your Christmas sweater is bah humbug. It is anti-Christmas. I see it as very much about Christmas.
Yeah,
Well,
somebody told me recently that in Austria, for example, they celebrate Christmas and there is Krampus, right? So this guy, devil look-alike, and they celebrate it as well as the other side of, and it's very fun for children and so on. So I take a look at such analogies, and I think sometimes you need to take those things that hurt, those things that are not that you do not receive well, and try to transform them into something good. And this is with feedback. I got feedback which was like, "Oh, look at your user story. The other BA done it so much better. Look at it. It's a mess." And I was like, oh, I'm going to tell him what mess he is, right? But instead, take a step back, listen to what person has to say, ask questions, and you don't need to respond to feedback instantly. You can
mm,
go back, sit that in your favorite armchair, take a sip of favorite coffee or whatever you like.
or whatever.
Yes, or whatever. And then you think, okay, actually, with this, he's right or she's right. And with that, not really. And you can still disagree. It's not an obligation to turn all feedback into actionable insights. Sometimes you just need to come back and say, look, I analyzed what you said, and you are right when it comes to this and that. With this, I do not agree because this and that. And maybe we can sit down together and find another way. And that opens a relationship because somebody says, actually, I've been hurt. So it's not like I'm talking to a wall that doesn't respond or to someone that doesn't have any will to improve.
Yeah. I so there's a lot there. So let's unpack. I want to restate what you've said because this is really important because very often using another Christmas analogy, it's like we got a gift that we did not want.
Oh, yes. Socks, for example, when you are a child, right? When you were a child, what is this?
Right. I did not want underwear and socks, Mom. I wanted a video game, right?
Exactly.
Um, so I like maybe it's something that we don't think about that we can take some time to think about that feedback. If you want to take time to respond to that feedback, what do you suggest people say to the
Look,
person who's
I
given them
hear
that
you.
feedback?
I hear you, and it's important that you share it because I appreciate that, and that's important to say that you appreciate
Mm,
the feedback. Look, there is a lot to unpack, as you said, and I need to think about it. There are some valid points. With some, I might not agree, but I need to think about it and analyze, and I'll come back to you.
Nice. Yeah, nice. So it says, I heard you. And sometimes conversations can go wrong because the, we feel like we are not heard. And so acknowledging, I heard what you said, and I want to think about it and get back to you. It says, I may not love it, but I'll let you know how I want to respond. Um, I also love that you said that you can disagree. You can disagree. Feedback is sometimes not as objective as it seems.
Yeah, look, we might lie to ourselves that we are objective,
Right.
but we are not. We are people that are driven by emotions, by different external conditions, and everything we do is subjective. It's from our own perspective. It's how we perceive the world itself, how we perceive people around us, and how even if we want to be objective, we never will be 100% objective, and we need to acknowledge that, and we need to also acknowledge that that's what is in our system of values is important might not be important for other people, or maybe not as important as for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So that cultural element as
Yes.
well, especially as we are a very international, we work in international organizations, many of us. You're right. There's a cultural component to things that might be important or not important, or how I respond or accept feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to think about that when you want to give that feedback, especially when you don't know that person very well.
Hmm.
And then I would say that approaching this with delicacy, with being delicate even, and try to first do a little bit of a probe, like instead of instantly going into I have feedback for you, do you have any feedback for me? Do you like working with me? Do you see my user stories or my deliverables good quality for you, or you miss something? And then you start the conversation, although your goal from the very beginning is to pass your feedback because you might look like something. But it opens up people and they are more open to conversation because you want to hear them first.
Yes. Yeah. And if you, especially in those moments, if you think about, I want to build a relationship with you, relationships are all about feedback.
Yeah.
Every relationship that I have has some level of feedback because that's how we get to know people. Um, and, just like we said, feedback is not, it may seem objective, but it isn't. Sometimes when you start digging into the details of what's been shared with you, you can realize the person that has given you feedback didn't have all of the information. And it's a great opportunity to open the door to, okay, I heard what you said. Let me give you a little more information. Does that change things? Um,
Yeah, as long as you do not go defensive with it, because a lot of people, what I see, and I try to help them with that, is that when I share feedback, they instantly go into this stance of explaining themselves.
hmm,
So
mhm.
I did it because I wasn't aware, and they are finding different ways to excuse themselves instead of really listening to what I have to say. So, okay, I am not saying that you've done it on purpose or you wanted to do something wrong. Let's take a step back and think how we could improve things. And it's not about me judging your behavior or anything else. It's just about having a conversation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know that sometimes our instinct when we get feedback that we don't like is to explain why we did it. But and boy, sometimes I have to work at this. I try to be quiet and put on my listening ears, especially if I feel like I disagree, because there will sometimes be that one nugget that I get from that person that I think, "Oh, okay, okay. I think I see. I think I see where they're trying to help me." And then being open to then paraphrasing, like you said, and asking questions, um, can open that door to understanding exactly what they are trying to tell me. But boy, do I have to listen to myself. And so, maybe not a lot of people think about what it means to be self aware, but I always think, how do I feel? Do I feel like my chest is tightening? Do I feel like I'm sweating? Do I feel like I want to be angry? Those are important clues from your body that you might not be taking this well. So just know that if you react from that place, you may not get the benefit of the
Yeah,
feedback.
to be honest, I've before I got self aware, and I'm not saying that I'm a master of self awareness yet at the time, but uh, I remember myself responding very badly to feedback and to things that I thought are wrong because I wasn't self aware how emotions influence what I say and think. And here, shout out to one of my mentors along the way, to Evelina Egert. Thanks, Evelina, for listening, or you'll listen. Uh, she told me, Pavel, you need to calm down and you need to think about your emotions because you can achieve so many things, but you need to be self-aware how emotions are turning you into a very, shaky person that responds with sadness, anger, and so on, instead of processing your emotions. So I've done a large share with that to think how I feel when people judge me or give feedback, and the picture was not brilliant, was not pretty. So then I took that step back and started to think about this topic at all, to study it and so on. And that's also what I encourage you to do. If you think that you are not good at sharing and receiving feedback, maybe it can be processed. You just need to do a little bit of work. You need to talk with other people that had the same problem, because we are not born as feedback champions.
That's right. That's right. You Before we got started today, you and I were talking that sometimes the way that we might react to feedback is based on what we have seen as kids, and
Yeah,
that might not have been a good experience.
yeah. How you are driving this bicycle? It's totally wrong. Yeah. How you need to use fork and knife for that? I told you how many times I need to say it.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Um, and we may not have gotten good clues as to what is good feedback because, yeah, parents, you're a parent. Sometimes those kids are doing something and you need to tell them right then, don't do that, right? And so sometimes it gets delivered with an emotion that you don't intend. So I think this is an opportunity, in what you've been sharing and in the work that we do, to build some skills that will be useful across all aspects of your life.
That's true. If you think about self-awareness, yeah, if you know what you think, what you feel at the very same moment when something happens, well, it's a very good start to do something about it. If you think about sharing feedback with kindness and with thinking about giving a gift to someone, maybe it's also something you can do in your professional life. So whatever you do, treat it as you want to, wrap it, prepare it, and give it away as perfect as you can do, but not with perfectionism. That's what I will fight always, because we are not perfect. The world is not perfect, and feedback is not perfect either. So and also think about active listening and how listening is more important than talking. Talking is easy. Talking is cheap. Listening is difficult,
Yes.
and exploring the art of active listening is really important. That's a skill that will help you in every situation. Because if you listen during a conversation at the store, during a conversation at the institution somewhere, if you listen what people are saying, maybe you'll find a solution. If you don't listen, you only find problems.
That's right. You're right. Listening is hard. Active listening is really hard because we're in the business of solving problems. So very often, as soon as I hear something, I am moving on to how do we solve that? But it's in the listening that you hear not just the problem somebody is having, but the way that they feel about it, things that they have tried, other aspects of that problem that you might not have thought about. It's hard to stay silent. I know,
Yeah,
but
it's
it
very.
is. But you're right. So much of communication is the listening.
Yeah, and if you think about also everyday situations, you said about parenting, but also marriage, it's like instantly, we, especially myself, I'm going instantly into solving problems mode. When my
Right.
wife says, "I just wanted you to hear me," I don't want you to go instantly and do it.
Right.
Yeah, because you can't solve all of my problems, even if you would like to. But I just need someone to hear me, and that's what is it with feedback. Sometimes people just need to share. They don't need instant action from you. They need you to analyze, understand, listen to them, and then make your move.
Yes. Yes. So that idea of being heard, I just need for you to hear what I have to say. We don't have to argue or agree or do something about it. I just need for you to hear it. And so, um, yeah, I hope as people are listening to us today that they are thinking about not just giving and receiving feedback as the skill to build, but all of the other social skills around it. Those are all important to our work as business analysis professionals.
Yeah, yeah, couldn't agree more. And also, important thing to say is remember that you are not responsible for how people receive feedback.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have any idea what they are dealing with, how they are feeling, how they will receive it, even if you've done everything you could in your power to make the feedback digestible and reasonable. They might be going over things that you don't know about, and they will respond and react badly. And that's not your fault. Somebody might not be ready, might not be self-aware. You've done what you could, and good, mission accomplished. You should be proud of yourself, because a lot of people hold back their feedback, and their relationships start to deteriorate and
Mm.
be off sometimes to a point that there is a conflict approaching, because nobody said what should be said before, basically.
Right, right. There's a cost to avoiding giving feedback as well that we also have to think about here. That's really an important point. Well, let's see. We have got some thoughts and some questions today. And by the way, this is a little bit of a bummer, but if you normally join us on YouTube, I am sad to say that we have a problem with our connector today. So if you've our social media person, Rosalind, put a note over there. Hopefully, you guys have found us over here. That's a bummer. I think we'll have some feedback for YouTube. Okay. Okay, well let's take a couple of questions, and there might actually be some comments in here, so we can respond to those as well. Okay, so let's see. We've got something here from Rishi. Um, Giving. Okay, so emotional feedback versus logical feedback, and then I see receiving emotional response versus a logical response.
That's a curious beast, because we are different people. Some of
Mm,
us are more logical persons, and some are emotional people, and some of us are both, depending of the circumstances, or depending of how we feel today. Today I feel illogical because everything falls apart, and that's it. So whatever we do, we need to be ourselves. If we are more on this emotional side, we need to be self-aware of that, and we can't be robots. That's why we use emotions in feedback. We say how we feel, and also we say logically the facts are, the consequences are. So it's a little bit of everything. And how somebody responds, as said, we cannot influence that. So we just prepare ourselves for both options. It might be logical, it might be emotional, and we need to be prepared for both.
Yeah.
And if it's emotional and we feel badly about it, it's so, again, the same thing. Step back. I hear you. I know it angers you. Let's find a common ground and think about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And you're right. An emotional versus a logical response on any given day, somebody that you think might give one response over the other, they could surprise you because you're right. Sometimes we have lots of things going on in our lives that have nothing to do with what's happening at work, which could generate an unexpected response. Um, so, yeah, but I think being ready for anything, but I would say don't overthink it. Like if you're getting ready to give feedback, don't overthink, well, this could go like we're not putting together a risk plan. Like don't overthink it. Just think how would I react if somebody handled this badly?
And
Um,
sometimes it's really surprising because we know a person, we think we get along just fine, and then you realize that feedback triggers something devilish in that
that's
person,
right.
and it happens.
You're right. Yes, it does. Okie doke. Here, let's take this is kind of another comment from Husem. I think the most difficult feedback to accept is from people who don't accept feedback themselves. You and I, before we got started today, we talked about the importance of being coachable, and I think that's what Husam is suggesting here.
Yeah, once again, we can't be responsible for what others think or what others do, and I agree with you that it's extremely difficult to accept feedback from someone who previously showed multiple times that they do not care about your feedback or do not care about your emotions. The only stance that I can offer here is assume that they don't want anything bad for you. Assume that, and even if you can't get past that point, what Susan said before, take that one nugget that you find reasonable in what others say, because you will encounter toxic people in your life, no doubt about it. And they are first to share feedback or to dress feedback or dress something else as feedback.
Mhm.
Some kind of regret, some kind of vengeance, I don't know. And you will have that. And it will happen from time to time. And the only thing is try to analyze it and take anything that is valuable from it. And if it's not valuable, still thank you for your feedback. I appreciate that. I will get back to you. And that disarms such people quite nicely. Some, not always, but a lot of
You are
times.
so right. You are so right. And sometimes those folks who do not give feedback well, maybe they're toxic, maybe whatever, they just don't have those skills. Sometimes by you being kind, even if you just got a bunch of feedback which isn't helpful or which seems mean spirited, sometimes if you can show kindness, thank you for that. Sometimes it can disarm them
Yeah.
so that you can get something useful. All right, so let's see. We have got, here's one from Mark. Mark says, from experience, the absence of feedback is much more dangerous than the negative or constructive feedback. Yes.
Couldn't agree more. That's the essence of it, because and I do not perceive feedback as negative as well. It's always constructive, even if it says something wrong about us or others, because if it's prepared properly, it's always constructive. If it's negative, what have you done? Okay, let's put that aside, let's box it, let's pack it, and listen to whatever else is there. But that's a valid point. If you do not share feedback, if you do not talk with each other, if you do not have that conversation, people are turning into live volcanoes. They are
Oh,
sitting, uh, accumulating those emotions until they explode. And then the whole project, the whole team can fall down. And I've seen that in the past.
Yeah. I think that is the cost of not giving feedback is things build up. So there's a cost to that, and it is not polite to withhold that.
I'll
Um,
give you a situation, life situation. We've been in the office with 4 or 5 people. And of course, in office, what do you have? Air conditioning, which tends to be a conflict point in every place I go.
true.
And, and it's colder around here. I'll go and turn up the heating. And that person goes away, and another person instantly stands up. Uh, it's too hot. And that symphony of steps continues throughout 2, 3, 4 weeks until they just explode because
That's
they
right.
do not discuss the terms of being in the same room. So when I go away, you can do with air conditioning whatever you like. When I come back, I like it a little bit more warm. Is that okay with you? It's a conversation, it's a feedback. Otherwise, it's like a play in theater, which is funny to observe, but not that funny when it erupts.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And what a perfect example, right, of something that probably people have a lot of emotion about. I'm too hot, I'm too cold, and somebody keeps messing around with the temperature. Um, right. So feedback is an opportunity for a conversation and an understanding. So, all right. So let's see. We've got another. So this is from someone listening to us on LinkedIn today. Frame the negative feedback as a time for everyone to learn.
Exactly. What I didn't say, and thank you for that point, is that you can shape the culture of feedback at your workplace or in your team. So when I take over a team or when I join a team, I usually start from words that hello, I'm Pavel, this is who I am, and so on, and I'm open to feedback. So
Ah,
whatever you want to tell me, please do. I'm not going to be angry. I will not be offended. Let's make feedback our usual ways of working. I even tend to add it was one of the values of the team
mm,
because if we are open and we can share feedback with each other, then we improve as a team because we are honest with each other. We care how we feel. We care how we work. So it improves us all.
wow. Yeah, that I can see how that would shape the culture, and I think is a great, maybe a great team guideline. Is we should not only talk about the way that we communicate our team hours, the tools that we use. Let's also talk about how we want to give and receive feedback. And as you were talking about that, I was thinking for some of us, for some people, the only time we get feedback is during a performance review, which can be a long time between when we did the thing and we're getting the feedback. So, if you build in that guideline into how your team works, you are getting the feedback as it is happening, and you are making decisions as a team, as an individual, how you're going to respond to that. It does improve teams.
Yeah. And the important thing what you said is that timing of feedback is really important
Yes.
because let's say I'm giving a presentation to an audience and I'm standing backwards to the screen. So I'm talking, 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 and nobody says that there is nothing there until it finishes. Was this timely? And then somebody, look, it was very impressive, but there was nothing on the screen. Afterwards, it's not worth much because I can't do anything about it anymore. So time your feedback as well. So do not wait 3 months, 5 months, a year. Try to be on point with your feedback. So when it's needed, share it basically.
Yeah, and I think you just answered Ivana's question, which is how often to give feedback. Um, as soon as possible. Don't wait. And how to give feedback on sensitive topics.
Oof, I would only imagine what can be a sensitive topic. There are sometimes topics that giving feedback is even more uncomfortable. So because it's about how somebody behaves, not professionally,
Mm-hmm.
but basically in your relationships. And I must say that for me, usually, it's just be honest. Don't keep it for yourselves. I had a problem with one of the people I worked with because I respect someone's personal space and I expect that to be done for myself. But some people are like, touchy feeling. So
Mm-hmm.
and somebody was all the time coming from the back, grabbing my arms and everything, and I just look. I respect you, but I don't like you touching me all the time because we are not that close yet, and it makes me inconvenient. So
Yeah.
after a year or two, when we got to know each other, it didn't bother me anymore. But at the beginning of the relationship, it was quite strange for me. And I know that is also a cultural thing because myself, as a Polish guy, might have a little bit more distance. If I was southern or from another country, from another region, maybe it was would be normal for me, but it wasn't. So
Right.
I just went along with it, and I said very politely, very calmly, but still to the point.
Yeah. And, I could also see where, if I was a woman and it was a man that came up and put their hands on me, I would want to make sure that I gave that feedback very timely. I'm really not
Yeah,
comfortable, yeah, with you touching me like that. So just please know that I don't. It's not appreciated. You can find ways to give that feedback, so that what's important to you is conveyed to them, and then how they receive it is how they receive it, right?
exactly. And
Yeah.
as said in the beginning, facts. You say you touch me a lot. It makes me uncomfortable. So it makes me want to not get in touch with you so often. So if you would could stop that for the moment because we are not so close, I would be really grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and that's still polite and that's still okay. And I know there will be more sensitive matters. Somebody failed your expectations. Somebody did something wrong to you, and so on. But keeping it all to yourself usually is not a solution. Sometimes we say about time. If somebody is grieving or somebody is in a bad shape, maybe that's not a great time for feedback because it won't be appreciated. It might not even be heard. Sometimes you need to hold back for a moment, even if it angers you, even if it frustrates you.
Yes. Yeah. Totally agree. Yep. All right. So let's see. Well, I think we are at the end of our time together. Boy, this sounded like the feedback that our audience needed today on giving and receiving feedback. Um, and yeah, I think I'm just going to pop this comment up really quickly. This is from Harmeet. I think negative feedback is important, especially in the work that we do. If accepted as learning and it's discussed properly, it helps you to build stakeholder trust, which is ultimately the business that we're in. We are in a trust business.
Yeah,
And I think our stakeholders need to know that we give feedback, we give information from a good place because we want to improve the relationship, the project, the organization. So I think that's why this is really critical that we know how to do this.
exactly. How we listen to our stakeholders, how we get along. Look, you can do a perfect job, but if you won't build a relationship, the project probably will fail.
Yes.
That's my learning from the years past.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, Pavel, it has been really lovely to see you again and to talk to you again because I think, really put this into perspective for folks in a way that I know when I heard you giving this talk, I thought, I can do that. Yeah, I know how to do all of those things that he has suggested that we do to give good feedback. I can do that. So I knew that our audience would really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was a huge pleasure, Susan.
Yes, yes. And happy holidays to you
Happy
and your family.
holidays. Yeah.
Yeah. Take care. Thanks again. All right. Well, that's it. Maybe you're thinking about some things that you can take away with giving and receiving feedback and that you can put into practice today. I hope so. This really does help to make our relationships, not only with our stakeholders, but with our family, our friends. It really can help on all levels. Well, I'm going to see you again in 2 weeks. It's going to be New Year's Eve. And it's time for another Best of Business Analysis Live. What do you think our top 5 episodes were from this past year? Well, you'll have to listen in and find out. Hey, I want to thank all of you for joining us, and I wish you and all of your family and friends a very happy holiday season. Take care. Bye bye.